Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. As the world awaits a declaration from the World Health Organization, it is also important to note that there are claims from few countries about drugs that could prevent and cure COVID-19. This is because those who died from the novel coronavirus and those on the verge of dying couldn't be waiting for the world's politics, bureaucratic bottlenecks, and protocols. Ours is to bring to the forefront possible and immediate solutions to COVID-19. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigerian. I am Daniel Atai. Before we look into the nations or institutions that claims to have solutions to COVID-19, let us take a short break with this clip, and when we come back, we'll begin the analysis with our biochemist in the studio, as we shall also be taking calls from the president of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Faduile, and Dr. Ogbonnaya Iheme, who is a consultant family physician. Please stay tuned with this video.
I think Africans should come to that realization that it is not vaccines. It is healthy living. Give people jobs. Thabo Mbeki once told the world, don't tell us about giving us HIV drugs in South Africa. Give us money. Let us improve our agriculture. Let everybody have a job and is working and is living healthy. HIV virus will disappear. The same thing with coronavirus. It will sound very controversial, but they should know that I'm talking from sound intellectual and scientific background. The virus itself, the test method itself, the PCR test method, is an unreliable test method and is never to be used for diagnostic purpose, but for genomic sequencing, for just research purposes. But PCR is being used, test kits are being produced, test kit manufacturers are making cool money. If I test you and you're coronavirus positive, what do? There is no vaccine today, there is no established, approved international treatment protocol. However, you have also announced that some people have recovered. Those people who have recovered, why don't you go and take their serum? Their serum shows that if they have recovered, it means they now have the antibody against the virus. So go take their serum, do a synthesis of their serum based on the electrophoresis, and synthesize and mass produce the vaccine. Why can't federal government start putting money on the research on the production of that vaccine in Nigeria? We have professors of virology, intelligent Nigerian professors of virology, lying waste in the universities. With the money you have now, you can set up a proper vaccine production plant, a first of its kind, a world-class vaccine, and very easy. I teach immunology in a university, and what do? That healthy man that you say has recovered, you have discharged 19, you have discharged 20, they have recovered. That means that those people are strong and healthy enough that their antibodies they have generated, you can extract it and pass it through a Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, through a dictionary to establish the active ingredients, active immunoglobulins that responded to your the coronavirus. Then synthesize it in large quantity and mass produce it, and that becomes your vaccine.
Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Welcome back. That was Governor Ben Ayade talking about our own solutions. We could actually give solution in this part, from this part of the world. I'm talking about Nigeria. It is possible with all the personalities and the institutions of virologists and every expert that we have that could bring out vaccine for us or preventive drugs. But let's begin with Japan and China to understand their own solution to COVID-19. And then we'll also look at Madagascar and possibly Nigeria again. Now, Japan and China. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has enthusiastically promoted the anti-influenza drug, Avigan, as a possible game changer in the fight against the coronavirus. Avigan has already been administered in more than 120 cases, and we are receiving reports that it is effective in alleviating symptoms of the novel coronavirus. Abe told a news conference on April 7, referring to the drug developed by a group firm of Fujifilm Holdings, that it is currently undergoing clinical tests on coronavirus patients. He said, "We intend to expand to the greatest possible extent each administration to patients wishing to take it. To make that possible, we will increase our stockpile of Avigan to 3 times the current level, enough to treat 2 million people," the Prime Minister said. A scientific study in China also concluded in March that the drug developed by the Fujifilm Toyama Chemical Company has been effective for patients, especially those with mild symptoms. Beijing has officially adopted the drug as part of its treatment and guideline for COVID-19 patients. But medical experts, however, warn that the drug, also known as favipiravir, may cause birth defects. It cannot be administered to expecting mothers or those who may become pregnant, while careful consideration must be given to allowing men to take it as it is distributed into semen. Now, in Nigeria, we have Esomaron. Esomaron is a herbal immunomodulator with apparent beneficial effects in the management of immunocompromised patients and general immune boosting. The presence of andrographolide in Esomaron is confirmed. It has been demonstrated that andrographolide modifies the cellular signal transduction pathway of viral, bacterial, and parasitic infection. Andrographolide has been confirmed and recommended as a potent stimulator of the immune system. Now, the product is safe and innocuous, is useful in the management and treatment of viral infections, respiratory infections, skin disease, and there is no toxicity. Cases have been reported with the oral use of Esomaron. A pilot clinical trial was undertaken using Esomaron in 2001 at the Federal Medical Center, Makurdi, Nigeria. It was an open prospective study involving 10 people living with HIV/AIDS. 5 of them were males and 5 female. The duration of the clinical trial was 6 months. It was observed that opportunistic infections associated with HIV/AIDS were resolved after using the product for 3 months. Furthermore, the quality of life of all the trial subjects improved significantly. In addition, 5 trial subjects were also confirmed cases before therapy apparently had low levels of HIV after treatment, that they were below detectable range, which means they became negative as a result of Esomaron. And now, results obtained from the federal government of Nigeria through NIPRID, Idu Abuja, stated that Esomaron actually, made the infected patients to become negative. Esomaron trial on the management of people living with HIV/AIDS therefore were confirmed to be safe and non-toxic. And it also have the ability to increase the packed cell volume, which is PCV, and have direct increase on the CD4 and CDB count, and have direct decrease on the viral load to an undetectable level. It also have the ability to work alone without combination with ARV. Now we go to Madagascar. Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina has officially launched a medicine he believes can prevent and cure patients suffering from COVID-19, developed by the Madagascar Institute of Allied Research and branded COVID Organics. The President Rajoelina presented the so-called remedy to the press on Monday last week. It contained Artemisia, a plant cultivated on the island of Madagascar, believed to have ingredients to fight against malaria. All trials and tests have been conducted and its effectiveness in reducing and elimination of the symptoms has been proven for the treatment of patients with COVID-19 in Madagascar. The president said a presidential decree said that COVID organic is mandatory for children returning to school. President Rajoelina said on Monday that it had cured 2 COVID-19 cases. The COVID organics will be distributed free of charge to our most vulnerable compatriots and sold at very low price to others. All profits will be donated to the IMRA to finance scientific research. The president wrote on Twitter, said, "I am convinced that, in fact, history will prove us, but today there are already 2 cases that have been cured with the COVID organics, but we will actually see what happens next. COVID organics will be used in prophylaxis cases, that is preventive, but clinical observations have shown a trend towards its effectiveness in curative. Other clinical studies are currently underway," he said. He stressed at the launch of the word COVID organic. The president has previously made claims about the herbal remedies despite scientific opinion that there is currently no cure for COVID-19 and that any experimental formula should be rigorously tested to see if it is safe and effective as of April 22nd. And then Madagascar, of course, that same day, in the case of COVID-19 stood at 121 cases, of which 44 had recovered with no death record at all. Meanwhile, Nigerian government may request for COVID organic from Madagascar. Boss Mustafa, secretary to the government of the Federation, SGF, says Nigeria may ask Madagascar to send a plane load of herbal solutions to treat COVID-19. At a briefing on Tuesday, which is yesterday, Mustafa said, who is the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, spoke on the response to Madagascar's COVID-19, which is a COVID organic. He said, "I want to assure you that whatever is happening in the world, we are mindful of it and we are keeping tab." He said, I was reading of the experiences in Madagascar of why everybody is drinking some solutions that have been prepared. This morning, I was sharing with my wife, and I told her that probably I would request that Mr. President to allow us import a plane load for a trial from Madagascar, because we are all navigating an uncharted course. Nobody have ever been on this road. So every attempt to find solution that would bring succor to our people, be rest assured that this task force will do everything responsible and possible, and we will do everything to ensure that we get what will benefit our people, what will help them in the process that we find ourselves today. Although the World Health Organization, WHO, has continually warned that there is no cure yet for the virus. Some vaccines have been used in clinical trials. The one especially used by Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, who recovered from COVID-19, he testified and said he used a mixture of local solutions to boost his system. We are giving you this lay-down analysis and possible solutions to COVID-19 because people dying and those who have died couldn't have been waiting for WHO to declare a world vaccine or world curative measure for COVID-19. And again, the stories making rounds and that is almost giving everybody high blood pressure, the number of deaths being counted every day is alarming, and we on our part want to be giving succor solutions from our end on Television Nigerian to the world entirely, and especially Nigerian government, that the solution is right here and we could do our best while we still play the bureaucratic bottleneck waiting for WHO. Like I said, I have with me in the studio a young biochemist by the name Miracle Michael Balos Sabina. He also one of those who have the quantitative and qualitative analysis of Somaron. welcome to Spectacle.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning. While you are speaking today, be audible to your to our audience, and we will be expecting calls from the president of the NMA and Dr. Iheme Ogbonnaya on the course of our discussion. Now, this is part solution from Japan, China, Madagascar. Recently, the Oxford University, of course, will be playing that video in the long run, have developed a vaccine. We know that vaccine is a solution for an antibody to fight diseases and to also prevent it. But in the meantime, while we have COVID-19 spreading all over the country, and especially Nigeria, we have a case in Nasarawa just yesterday, and we have much cases in Kano, and the government seems to be in a quagmire of what to do. Madagascar have developed theirs, and India have theirs, Pakistan have theirs. Are we waiting for World Health to declare a vaccine for us, or we are to go ahead and test Esomeprazole and other possible drugs that we have in the country? Especially, we have Professor Maurice Iwu, who said he has solution to this. So what would you advise the government to do? And with respect to your Esomeprazole, I learned you are a biochemist that also participated in the quantitative and qualitative analysis of Esomeprazole. What advice would you have right now for Nigerian government?
Okay, thank you very much. So, as you can see in the world now, China did not wait for the WHO to declare that this is what they should do, this is not what they should do. Madagascar, as you just spoke about, with their COVID organics, they did not wait for the WHO. Now, while the WHO is doing what they can do, to raise a cure, to bring about vaccines, we must also do what we can do. People are dying. People are dying of this disease every day. The rates are increasing. NSCDC, you see 85 new cases. The rates are increasing. I'm tired of
even the numbers every day. Coming on stage to give us numbers of data is a bad news.
These are people's families, these are people's relatives. We must use like the chairman of the Presidential Task Force said, I like what he said. He said these are uncharted waters. We must use every ammunition we have. And that is why I'm speaking about Esomeprazole. Now, Esomeprazole has many potentials against COVID-19. Now, first of all, Esomeprazole is an antiviral drug. So Esomeprazole, like you read and you spoke about, has been used against HIV. The first pilot clinical trial was done in 2001, where they had 10 HIV patients, male, 5 females. After 3 months, the HIV was undetectable. It was below detectable range. Now, I am very sure there are other mixtures that would work against this thing. Look at the governor of Oyo State. He said he used a mixture of local herbs. Look at the COVID organics of Madagascar.
The president himself took it.
The president himself
Despite
took
the fact that WHO is warning, he said, we cannot wait for you, and we have our own solution.
So what are we waiting for now?
So assuming the federal government called on your institution, where your father is also one of the producers, would you be able to meet up the speed of production for Nigerians?
By God's grace, we will. Now, first of all,
tell me the chemical compositions of Esomeprazole.
Okay, Esomeprazole is the active ingredient in Esomeprazole is Andrographis paniculata. Now, you can Google Andrographis paniculata. It is a herb that has been used in Southeast Asia, China.
As a matter of fact, I googled Esomeprazole this morning. I have a lot of chemical content in it, but I want you to speak more on it while we profile solution to the FG. So
the papers are there about Andrographis paniculata now, which is the active ingredient in Esomeprazole. Now, why I believe strongly and why Esoma Herbals as an institution believes strongly that Esomeprazole will take care of coronavirus in 1 month maximum is it has different methods of action. Now, as an antiviral drug, coronavirus is a virus. Now, in the cadre of viruses, how strong they are, I think HIV is one of the most dreaded viruses. Esomeprazole takes care of HIV. So if you have something now, like coronavirus, that is threatening people's lives, what would you want to prefer? You would need, first of all, to start from what took care of HIV, which Esomeprazole does effectively. Esomeprazole has antiviral properties.
Your father said they have written to the Ministry of Health
Yes.
and to the minister, and unfortunately that some of the letters they wrote to them were missing and they have to write a reminder. Is that true?
Okay, yes.
Okay, go ahead with your analysis.
So the letters have been acknowledged and they said they will look into it.
Okay.
So we are still awaiting the ministry.
Okay.
Now, as an antiviral drug which can take care of HIV, it is only logical to test its antiviral strength against coronavirus.
Okay.
Now, second of all, we have seen some of these mixtures they are using to, against coronavirus. You are using anti-malaria, anti-mixture, like you said, antimycin is an anti-malarial drug.
Okay.
Now, esomorone can work as a combination therapy with it. So what it means is that you can still be taking these anti-malarial drugs, chloroquine or what they have profiled, while using esomorone. It doesn't affect it.
Okay.
Now we have I think the isolation center at Gogolada, I'm very sure they have groups of people. So you have the ones that look like they are recovering, you have the ones that you don't know their status, and you have the ones that are near death, the ones that the doctors have almost passed out as dead, but they are still giving them treatment. Now why don't you give 5 of these patients that are near death esomorone for 3 days?
Okay.
Give them 5, just 5 of them. You are not stopping the treatment you are giving them. Keep giving them the chloroquine, the anti-malarial drugs, whatever you are giving them, and then add esomorone to it. Because naturally, esomorone is an immune booster too, aside its antiviral properties. Now, you spoke about vaccines. The basic way that vaccines work is simple. A vaccine is the virus itself that has been weakened. So they get the virus, they make it weakened in the laboratory. So when they inject you with the vaccine, it is actually the virus, but it has been weakened, so it can't cause diseases. Now, what it does is the body now recognizes it, and then the body builds antibodies to combat it.
Okay.
Now, esomorone as an immune booster, it means naturally your body can combat this virus, but it doesn't have the strength to it. That's why they give it vaccines.
Okay.
So your body can develop specific antibodies to combat it. Okay. Now, esomorone, naturally, someone that is not sick that takes esomorone, it boosts the immune system. So aside the antiviral properties, which can take care of the coronavirus, you still have the immunomodulator aspect of esomorone, which is going to boost your immune system. So they are taking whatever drugs they are taking esomorone. Esomorone is combating it with the antiviral properties. It is, it is stopping the cell proliferation. So coronavirus, when it gets into your body, it starts to multiply very fast using your cell processes. Esomorone stops that proliferation. Now it boosts your immune system to even combat it. Okay. You understand? So there are different mechanisms of action that esomorone can, actually help us with.
Now, what would you say about? You said the World Health Organization at one time, took the sample of esomorone,
yes.
And you people are still waiting for its approval.
Yes.
Do you see politics being outplayed with African solutions to pandemics?
I think generally in the world there is this notion about herbs. There's always a preference to for organic orthodox drugs. They always have a preference for orthodox drugs over herbs. Now I can understand where they are coming from, because in science there is a process. So you need to pass through processes before you develop a drug and make it suitable for human consumption. Okay. Now most of these herbs that we see in Africa, they just get it and once like that. They see it's
sorry, I think a doctor is already calling me.
Okay, very
Let's
good.
take his call.
Very good.
Yes, Hello. Hello, sir. You are live on television, Nigerian, sir.
How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. This is the NMA president, Dr. Faduile. We want you to give us your take, sir, on the course of the analysis on what solution your association, the medical association, has given to or profiled to the federal government.
Thank you very much. As you know, our association has gone ahead to send some advisory notes to the government, and it is based on 5 major advice that we have passed to the federal government. We have understood that for us to be able to work effectively in the containment of COVID-19,
yes,
we need to ramp up the number of investigations that is being done, and that is the first one that we directed so